Good morning, guys. Welcome to NTI Day 20. Read with me. Today's text is titled Energetic Emily. So let's go on and get started. All right. Emily, as usual, had been up since dawn. That's like my little boy Dex. This morning, she skipped around the kitchen, laying out forks, knives, and napkins for breakfast to help her dad. She pushed the on button on the coffee machine. She pulled the bread and eggs out of the refrigerator, and then she waited. Emily's dad was a writer who worked from home. Upstairs, she heard his alarm go off for the third time. Finally, he plodded downstairs to the kitchen. "Good morning, sunshine," he said, and smiled his groggy morning smile. Emily was ready to get cooking. She grabbed 2 slices of bread. Then, getting a running start, she ran and slid across the slippery kitchen floor. As she slowed to a halt in front of the toaster, she deftly double ducked the slices into their slots. Ooh, that was hard to say. "Woo!" she yelled, stealing a glance at her dad to see if he'd glimpsed her smooth move. And the crowd goes wild. Emily's dad smiled and shook his head as he poured his coffee. "I'm going to call you Energetic Emily," he said. "That's your new nickname now." "Why?" Emily asked. "Because you have a lot of energy," he said. "That's what energetic means." "Oh, where do you get all that energy anyway?" he asked. "Certainly not from me. In fact, I wish you could give me some of your energy right in here." He pointed to his steaming coffee cup. Emily thought for a moment. "I don't know where I get it. What is energy anyway?" "Good question," said her dad. "Let's look up the definition." He pulled out his phone and typed in the word. "Energy," he read. "There are a few definitions. There's the physical or mental strength that allows you to do work." He looked at the forks and knives arranged neatly around the table. "Check, you've got that." "Then there's natural enthusiasm and effort." He smiled at her again. "Yep, you've got that, Miss Toaster Olympics champion." Emily giggled. "And there's the usable power that comes from heat or electricity." He pointed to the toaster, "like the kind that's toasting our bread right now." Emily paused to take this in. "So, are they all the same thing? The energy that powers the toaster and the energy that powers my amazing toaster tricks?" "I don't think so," said Emily's dad, "but maybe you'd better check with Mrs. Nelson and report back to me. I want to know if I can plug you into the wall and power myself up for the day." Daddy, can you see if he can turn that down?
Hey, Dexter, can you turn that down a little
Mrs. Nelson was Emily's fifth grade teacher. That morning, Emily stopped by her desk on the way to recess. "Mrs. Nelson, where do you think my energy comes from?" Mrs. Nelson looked confused. "Your energy?" "Yes, my dad wants to know." Mrs. Nelson threw back her head and whooped with laughter. "I bet he does," she said. "We'll talk about this later in the year, but I'll give you a hint for now. It comes from your food." Later in the lunchroom, Emily asked Mrs. Jacobs, the lunch lady, what this meant. "Well," said Mrs. Jacobs, "I know that all food has calories, and calories are a way to measure energy, the same way we use inches to measure length." She shrugged. "But I don't know how all that energy ends up in our food in the first place. I guess you'd have to ask a farmer." As luck would have it, Farmer George came to the park near Emily's house every Thursday afternoon to sell his tomatoes and apples, and today was Thursday. Her dad liked Emily's idea of going to interview Farmer George about energy. "You're quite the investigative journalist, Emily," he said. Farmer George was also delighted by Emily's question. "Burning calories of energy is what keeps us all moving. We couldn't live without them," he said. "And my plants work hard to make those calories for you." "Plants make energy? But how?" Emily asked, growing impatient. "I've been asking people all day." "Why, they use the best things on earth," Farmer George said. "Sunshine, fresh air, and water." "But how?" "Well, plants are one of nature's energy factories. When the sun hits the leaves of, say, a tomato plant, that tomato plant starts up like a machine. It takes in carbon dioxide from the air and water from the ground and mixes them together. The heat from the sun helps to cook this all up into sugar, and that sugar is then stored in the plant for us to eat. Some plants store more calories than others, but they can all give you energy in the form of sugar. Farmer George paused. There's more to it than this, but that's the simple version. Does that answer your question? Emily thought for a moment. So, when I eat your tomatoes, I'm eating plant made energy created by the sun, the air, and the water? You got it. Emily turned to her dad. So, all you have to do to get my energy is to eat your vegetables, Dad. Emily's dad laughed. I wish it were that easy, Emily. But still, I think that's probably very good advice. All right. So let's look at our multiple choice questions. Like always, you want to go back and find the support for every answer, underline, and then include the paragraph number next to each question. Use the strategy slash and trash to narrow down the correct answer. And let's look at our short answer questions. Again, these do not have lines on them, so you're going to have to get a sheet of paper and put the NTI day and put the question number and then write your answer, okay? So, number 8, what are calories? That is a simple RA, and you could underline where you got your answer from the text, but you don't have to write it. Number 9, what 3 things do plants use to make energy? So that's a restate answer and then underline where you found it in the text. Explain how eating vegetables gives you energy. So here you would do RAC. So you want to restate answer, and then whatever you underline to help you find that answer, you can write it as your C. You do not have to do an E for this. To avoid repeating your answer in sight, simplify the answer or paraphrase it to where it's in your own words. So your A is not going to come directly from the text, but your C is going to be what you underline, so then you can write it without it being repeated. All right, so that is today's Read With Me. Today is Friday, so I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you all Monday for NTI Day 21. I love you all. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye.